Go. Welcome to All About the Experiences. This is the 25th episode, and I am so inspired by today's guest as he has a story, or rather, I say a journey to share with us all to inspire us and just to recognize that no matter how your walk starts, it's how you finish. He is a devoted husband and father of three, two handsome sons, and a beautiful daughter. And when I tell you this man wears many, many hats, he is the founder of the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation, a professional speaker, an influencer, an author of the highly acclaimed The Making of a Guru. And I can't wait to get into that. He spends much of his time in his community, and he's the owner of the Guru Fitness, where he offers a healthier lifestyle to people locally and globally through his fitness app. Without further delay, I want to welcome Dale Robinson to the All About the Experiences Living Without Limits podcast. Welcome, Dale. How are you?
I'm phenomenal. Thank you for having me. I'm blessed to be on
Absolutely. Well, I'm
Yes.
happy to have you here. Let me tell you, this is wonderful. I love to kind of share with the listeners and obviously the viewers as well, just kind of how we met. And we recently met through a mutual friend of ours, Rod McLean of Rod Speaks, and you all
Yes.
were on a panel together. And we'll get into that in as we get into this conversation. I don't even like to call them interviews anymore because I
That's
feel
right.
like this is a development of our friendship and also able to find out more about each other. But I do want to give a shout out to Rod for making this connection happen and for being the catalyst to us having this conversation today. So much love, Rod. We appreciate you.
Yes. A lot of people don't know me and Rob went to high school together.
What? Oh, no, see,
Yes.
I did not know that.
We was in high school together. We went to college for a little while I was there a little bit. He ended up graduating. I didn't graduate. I graduated to something else. But hey, it is what it is. Where we at now, and I'm making the best of the situation that I have.
I love that. Well, let's get right into it because I know that you have a transformative journey and I know that you can share that with the listeners. So let's start back with wherever you want to start from, but I know that this is going to be inspiring for us all. So,
Well, I can start from the beginning. I grew up in not a low income neighborhood like most African Americans around here, but I kind of grew up in I grew up in a low income neighborhood. My mom used to work at Kentucky State University where Rod graduated from. My dad was like a cook. Say he was like a professional cook, but he was a street guy too. Let me just say it. Like he was very witty, he was very street, but he was very smart. And at the time, I think he just kind of, as I got older and understood, I kind of think that he used his wits and his intelligence in the wrong direction. Like I really feel like my dad had the most intelligence that he could easily ran a Fortune 500 company. Like he was just that intelligent. But he just kind of like challenged it in the wrong way. So, but I grew up with both parents in the home. My dad did go to prison for a little while. My mom worked her butt off. She didn't really get to come to some of our games, but I knew she wanted to be there. So that's how we ended up coming with the Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation. Okay. So that's named after my late mother. She died in like 2000. Yeah, 2000. And
rest your soul.
Yes. But at the point of my life when she passed away, I really couldn't mourn because I was in the streets so heavily. Like in the streets, you really couldn't show emotions. You couldn't, like, that was a sign of weakness. And it took me almost 16 something years to be able just to actually show emotion and actually, get that poison out of my body. And I finally went and seen her grave like 2016, and I cried, I talked to her a while, but I'm super grateful and I'm super blessed, that I did have two parents in my life. And I knew my mom she did everything she could to make sure that we had everything that we need. And me growing up, I have two younger brothers and I have an older sister, but my younger brothers, during Christmas, I would always be the one to be late to get the Christmas present. Like I was okay with being the last one to get the Christmas present. Like she'd tell me like, you're not gonna get your stuff on Christmas. You can get yours later or before we go back to school. And I was more than fine with that. Like, because I wasn't selfish and I understood like I could handle my own.
Right.
So I ended up going to college. I played college football at Western Kentucky for like 2 years.
What position?
I played quarterback.
Oh,
I
QB.
played
Okay.
quarterback. You know, I was always in a leadership position, like even in basketball in high school, we was like ranked in the nation. We was like 30-1, and I played point guard for that team. I played point guard all the way up from sophomore all the way to my senior year.
Okay.
So I was always a leader, and so I ended up going to Western Kentucky to play football. But at the time, I smoked marijuana.
Okay.
You know, I smoked a lot of marijuana, and actually let me not stay in school at Western Kentucky. So I ended up coming back home, and all my friends that I actually grew up with, they was in the streets. So they say birds of a feather flock together. And eventually I got caught up. So I ended up getting caught up, and I ended up getting in the streets, started selling drugs. And then like, there was one particular time where I actually witnessed one of my best friends kill my other best friends.
Oh,
And
wow.
and the thing that I learned over life is that was a sign from God, but I didn't take the heed to the sign. It was a sign saying like, this is not for you, but I wanted to do my way. Right. I didn't want to listen to the sign. I didn't pay attention to the sign. So I ended up getting into it really deep. Like I was really deep into the streets, and I ended up going to prison. Well, back up, I ended up having a son while I was in college. So I got my oldest son. He'll be 25 March the 14th. So I ended up having him.
Is he an Aries too, huh? Is he an Aries?
No, he's March the 4th. He makes him the Pisces line.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So
I'm an Aries. I'm in that March realm too. So
so we're both Pisces. My birthday's February 20th. So okay. We're all Pisces. And my daughter is March the 10th. So but I ended up having Delvon. Then I came back home, got in the streets. Then I really got in the streets bad, and I really didn't take heed of taking care of my kid the way I was supposed to, you know, and I thought that just because I was in the streets and I was selling drugs and I could buy anything that I was being a dad, and I really wasn't. You know, I was just being a provider. I wasn't being a dad. Right. And I ended up going to prison for 5 years in 2001. And right before I went to prison in 2001, I had my youngest son, which is Wanda, the one we were talking about before we got on here. Yeah. He's at Nebraska University playing football.
Let's give him a big shout out too.
Yeah, yeah. So Wanda, shout out to you. You know, and my oldest son just graduated from Eastern Kentucky with a criminal justice degree, which I'm super grateful and super proud of all my kids, all the accomplishments that they have, and with all the things and all the adversity they had to go through in life. You know, and it's easy they could just say, you know, give up and like, you know, my dad's not here, or just follow in my footsteps and go and lead to the streets. And I'm just blessed and grateful that they had the right people around them and the right support system allowed them not to go in that route.
Takes a village, right?
Yes, it definitely does. So I ended up going to prison in 2001. I got out 2005. I got out with my youngest son. He was 4. And my oldest son was 4, 5, 9. All right. So then I get out. You know, I'm with my youngest son a lot at the time. We was like, and I learned a little bit, but I didn't learn a lot because I got out and I didn't go back. I didn't change nothing. I didn't change my mindset. So I went back to the streets. So I ended up going back to the streets. So within 19 months, I ended up going back to prison for 10 years this time. And all this is in federal prison. So, and in the meantime, with my youngest son, Wandell, we ended up started playing football. And, you know, I was his first coach. I coached him like the first 2 years of his football. And then I end up catching a charge for 10 years. And that was the point where I had to tell him that I was going to be gone for 10 years. Like that was the breaking point. That was my point of saying, you know what, hey, I got to come back a better man. I got to come back a better person. So at the time, I didn't have all this hair. You know, I didn't have all this hair. I had like a super low haircut. But when I walked away from that glass and just seeing the tears in his eyes and knowing that I'm not going to be there again for 10 years, like that was my moment saying, listen, Dale, you got to change. If you can do all this and sell all these drugs and make all this money. You intelligent enough to do something else with yourself. So I end up going to prison and doing 10 years in federal prison. And they shipped me to New Jersey. So I did like 7 years in New Jersey of my federal prison, of my time. And I see my youngest son twice. I see my oldest son 0 times because they from 2 different mothers. So I didn't see them at that. When I came home 2015. I was with Wanda's mom at the time. And I got out looking for a job at, I was in Lexington. I applied at every gym, all the gyms. And nobody wanted to give me a call back because I had to check the box. I could have easily made a little white lie and say, I'm not convicted felon, and probably got under there with some of them. But I kept it honest and be truthful. Well, actually turned out to be a blessing for me. So they never able to call me back. So I ended up having to take 2 odd jobs. I worked at this factory, which I hated. And then I had to work at Kentucky State University, cleaning toilets, mopping floors, and things like that. So I just had to take stepping stone jobs. And I already had my plan when I got out of prison. I already had a plan, but it just didn't go the way that I wanted. So I had to take another route to get to my GPS, to get my destination. So I ended up working at this job, and then I started training some of the kids at Kentucky State University during my lunchtime for free. So I would take my lunch and not eat and go train these kids just so I can get some footage and post some stuff on Facebook and things like that. And that went on till like December of Christmas. I can never forget. So December of Christmas, my youngest son comes in. He says, "Dad, I'm laying in the bed." He's like, "What you got for me?" And I'm like, "I don't got nothing for you." I'm like, all the money I get, it goes to bills, helping put food on the table. And at the time I'm in the halfway house, and the halfway house takes 25% of your gross. So they basically taking my money, and then I'm got to help put food on the table. So I really didn't have nothing for him. And he laid in my lap and he cried. And from that day, I picked that phone up. I had a phone. I picked that phone up and said, I'm going to start having G.U.R.U Fitness boot camps in my garage. And I started with, I had like 3 people showed up, $40 and a few pieces of equipment. And I grind, I busted my butt, I posted. And then the funny part is, I think like it might take off. And then some days nobody showed up. Some day I sit in the garage and not one person showed up. But I didn't quit on myself. I didn't give up. Because I knew that this was my gift, this was my purpose, this was my passion. So I just kept plugging away, and I kept plugging away. And it started picking up just a little bit. And I just totally had faith, and I just quit my job, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna do this full time. And I started doing fitness full time, and I ended up going to another gym because me and Wanda's mom actually split at the time. We was on bad terms. So I went to another gym, and I had to pay them like $400 to rent the space out, and I worked there for a while, and then I had to get kicked out of that spot. So I didn't get kicked out of that spot, and the way that God works is the same day that I got kicked out, the same day that I actually signed the lease for the building I'm in now.
And that's where you're at currently?
That's where I'm at currently right now. So we went from having like 3 members to over 200 something members within a couple years. And then in the meantime, the one of the people that actually started with me in my garage, she is the president of the foundation now. She is my co-founder. Her name is Amy Nance, and I love her to death. Like I do a lot of things, but she really handles the whole maintenance work. But I just really want to thank our whole team, because we have a big team and they do a lot of work. I'm not the tech or the computer person. I'm more like the face. I go talk to people and meet who I need to meet. So I'm super grateful for Amy Nance, and what Wanda Joyce Robinson Foundation does. We actually serve the youth that's been impacted by incarceration. So, and the thing that it came back to that. Okay, if I'm in prison and then all these dads are in prison, how many kids is out there by themselves? How many is out there without parents? But how many is out there without guidance? Without the emotional health, and all this trauma that they go through.
Right.
So we created this foundation to help them with all that. So our foundation helps kids with, emotional support. We help them with extracurricular activities. We pay for them. ACT scores, testing. We help them talk to their parents while they're incarcerated. There's a group that actually donated like a TV type thing where they can actually have like a FaceTime with their parents.
Kind of like what we're doing now.
Like we're doing now, because
Okay.
when I was in prison, if they had that, like it would have made it just that much more connection. Even though I still had that connection, it would have made it a whole lot better, you know. And so there's a company that donated that to us, and we just doing a lot. And we have I just found out that the kids are able to go to BCTC. It's like a vocational school.
Okay.
Like plumbing, electrician, and things like that. So they're allowed to do that.
Able to get a trade.
Yes, because trades are underrated now. Like, and people don't understand, like, trades is underrated. And we also offer a scholarship fund to a kid had to write a letter and tell them why they deserve the money. So we give out like $1,000-something to a kid. And we have like 3 kids who we've been doing like for 2 years. Nice. But they have to keep a certain GPA. Okay. They can't go under a certain GPA. And, you know, we donate $1,000 to them to each semester. So we're doing a lot. And then I end up writing a book after that.
Shout that book out, The Making of a Guru.
So the book is called The Making of the Guru. You can go to google.com and get it. It's called The Making of the Guru. The Making of the Guru is, just to give you a little bit, is about how I started and where I'm at now. Okay. So before we leave, I'm just going to drop a little bomb because I got more news to share.
I love when people bring news to All About the Experiences.
Yes. So I have more news. Okay. Yes. So I wrote a book, and I also have a complimentary workbook that they can actually write their stuff down. Like, it asks you questions about how serious are you about your goals? You know, how serious are you about you taking action? And that's the stuff that I really teach. This is what I teach in my classes, in my fitness class. It's not about just fitness. It's about mental, spiritual, soul. You know, we want to attack every aspect. So we want you to be a holistic. You know, we want you to be all around individual, better person. And the thing that I love is I'm able to use myself. I don't talk about nobody else. I use myself. I use my own experiences, because if they can see that I can be vulnerable and transparent, then it makes them just that little bit more easy to be vulnerable and transparent. You know, so that's how I do it at Guru Fitness. And Guru Fitness, a lot of people don't even know, it stands for Generate Unique Results Ultimately.
I love that. I'm all about an acronym. So can you say that one more time?
It stands for Generate Unique Results Ultimately, right? So for you, let's say you started a podcast, right? You had to generate, you had to start, right? And then you are very unique. God only made one of you. That makes you unique.
Absolutely.
You know, and results is you got to produce. And then ultimately, over the course of time, this is going to be the #1 podcast, right?
You better say that again.
See how that works? And that's just how the mind frame that you have to have. So you have to have a guru mindset to create things and start things in life. So that's how I come up with that. But that actually came from me in prison.
Wow.
Guru Fitness came from in prison. I sat down with 11 of my cellmates. It came through.
It's all good. It's all good.
I sat down with 11 of my cellmates, and we came up with the words for each letter of Guru in prison.
You know, I'm so glad that you said that, because a lot of times people have this misconception about people that are in prison, whether they think they deserve to be there or not. And the thing about it is that you have control of your destiny, and you're proving that by everything that you're doing. But even moreover than that, you took that time while you were in prison to create something that is positive, that is life-changing, not only for yourself, but for others. And so, hey, if you didn't know, now you know.
Yes. So what me and a couple other guys did, because there's like 3 or 4 of us, and we all own gyms now. Wow. The thing is that we say is that we took our prison cell and turned into a classroom.
Hello.
So we started studying. And then if I'm reading books that will help me become who I am, then why not write a book? You
Why
know,
not?
so, and I share my experience with the world. So now my job is just what I'm in the process of doing for 2021 is getting my story out more to the world.
Well, I have to tell you, I was really impressed by what I saw. I mean, you have been mentioned and published in USA Today, Market Watch, and on the ABC Channel 7 News. So your story is out there. And I mean,
Yes,
I am so proud to even have you on my platform. And we can continue to push this guru mindset, as you say, out there.
yes. And
Absolutely.
the latest one that I'm like, you know, there's a level that you're trying to get to, and then when Forbes came, like that was like, okay, now I really got to take it to another level. Because
Absolutely.
Forbes came and they put the picture in Forbes, because it's just when the publication when they was like, we're gonna put your picture in there, we're gonna shut you out. I'm like, okay, now I got to take it to another level. I got to step
Raise
my
the
game up
bar.
even more.
Right.
So, you know, and now I'm just really want to get out, and my goal for 2021 is also to do 50 public speaking gigs. So I want to do 50, you know, and just go out and help change the world, be a part of it, you know, and just help people understand like you can do whatever you want to do. It's just, but you got to transform your mind. You can be whatever you want to become. Like, and what my thing is like kids that grew up that look like me, that are in the same position as I was. You don't have to play sports all the time. Even though one of my kids play sports, but you don't have to play sports. You don't have to be a rapper. You don't have to dance. You can do whatever you want to do. You could be an entrepreneur. You could be an engineer. You could be a plumber, electrician. You can start your own company. Like, you just got to be exposed to it. And that's my reason for doing the things that I do. I keep going because I love to create, but I also know that I'm doing it because I have a purpose. And so these kids can see like, he can do that. He spent 10 years in prison. Let me learn from his experience and not go to prison, but I can still do the things that he's doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I think, and I'll speak very candidly. Sometimes in the African American communities, we think that that's our ticket out. You know, I grew up in East Oakland. I mean, I'm from the hood and everything else. And the one thing that I was so appreciative of my parents, my dad wasn't always in the household. He had kind of a similar background, if you will, but my mom, as a single parent, she made sure, especially of us girls, to make sure that we recognize that you are not a product of your environment. You have the ability to change your trajectory and make a decision on which way, which direction you're going to go, the goals that you set for yourself. And even when you have certain things that present, you know, roadblocks, if you will, there
Yes,
are always, there's a way around it, a way over it, under it, or however you need to do, you can move mountains. And so
exactly.
when I hear that from you, and you know, maybe your road took a different path, and but I think those experiences, from what I'm hearing, were really catalysts to where you're at now. And maybe
It
you
is.
wouldn't have come to this where you're at now had you not gone through those experiences.
And it's crazy when I tell people like I was blessed to do the 10 years in prison. Like I look at it from a
That's
positive
powerful.
perspective. You know, a lot of people they not they're not trained to see the positivity in situations. And
Mhm.
like I was just telling this other guy the other day, I was like, listen, the blessing is in the lesson. Like if you look for the blessing in the lesson,
Mhm.
then you not even focus on the negativity or what's not going right. You figure out what is going right about the situation. Because if you just focus on what's going wrong, then you focusing on the problem, you're not focusing on the solution. So
Absolutely.
let's think about what we got blessed out of the situation. Is like I got blessed that I could have been dead. You know, my kids could have went down the wrong route. They kept seeing me selling drugs and doing these things. My kids could have went that route, but they didn't. So I'm always looking for the blessing, and I'm looking for the positivity. Now I know what it's like. Now I have a daughter, so she's going to understand that this is what a man's supposed to do. This is how a man's supposed to treat a woman. So it's going to be hard for her to go to a guy that not going to treat her like a queen. You know, so because she's going to be treated like a queen from day one for every day of her life. She's going to know that I'm a queen. I'm supposed to be treated that way. I'm not going to let you treat me less than what I've been treated all my life. So, and also like, and I have a lot of women in my gym, and I was explaining to them about my daughter name is Eliza. I was explaining to them like
She's
she's learning to
beautiful, by
walk.
the way. Beautiful
Thank
little
you.
girl.
Yes. So she's learning to walk. And the thing about her is that she'll walk, she'll fall down, but when she gets up, she'll clap for herself.
That's right. I love
You
that.
gotta clap for yourself. And it's so hard for women to understand, like, clap for yourself. It's okay to say I'm proud and I did this, I accomplished this, and not to say this just women, because I see guys too. And I had to explain that to my people in class, like, guys, I see y'all too. You're no different than nobody else. Yes, you have these situations. You just might cover it up a little bit better,
Right.
but it's hard for you to clap for yourself. And I have no problem clapping for myself. I don't need a room of people clapping for me, because I learned when I was in that prison cell by myself in that dark place, I had to clap for myself. And if I
Absolutely.
didn't clap for myself, I would never get up and be who the man I was meant to be. So I had to clap for myself the days I didn't want to clap. So I learned that, and then now it becomes a skill. So when you practice something long enough, it becomes a skill, right?
Absolutely.
So if you practice gratitude all the time, it becomes a skill.
Yeah. It's second nature to you and you just continue with it. Something that you said, and I a lot of times it's considered being conceited or full of yourself, but like you said, if you can't clap for you, why would anybody else find the value in what you have if you don't have it in yourself? And I feel like a
Exactly.
lot of times people are admonished because they have, I don't even say an inflated view of themselves. They have a view of themselves that, you know what? I have started here and I've come here. I think Drake said it best. Started from the bottom. Now I'm what? I'm
I
here.
love it. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
you got
I
to.
love it.
You got
And
to.
I think sometimes when people start from the bottom and work their way up, I think they cherish it just a little bit more,
Oh,
because
it's
like
sweeter.
there was nothing handed to you, and I cherish everything that I got. And that's why I'm always working. I'm always building. Because I always think that it could be gone just that split second. So that's why I'm always on it. Like, and my wife said, you always on. Like, I gotta be on. Like yesterday, like I texted you and told you like I had emergency, so I had to go fly to Nebraska and then fly right back the same day. But
Wow.
then I didn't get into like 1 o'clock, but I had to be here at 6 to open up the gym.
And
So
you
I got here
still
by
made
like,
it here.
and I still made it here.
Yes.
So just that grind and just be able to the gratitude and be grateful to be able to do those things.
Mhm.
Because at one point I had to sit in the cell. So like that's why I'm always have energy. I could be at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. I got the same energy all day, every day, because I love life and I'm grateful for what I have and where I've been.
Absolutely. And something that you said, it just really resonated to me. And I really am proud of this platform because even though a lot of the people that I come on, either I'm just meeting, much like you, or I've
Yes.
had a connection with, I learn not only about them, but I learn about myself. And so, I've been, and I don't share this a lot, but it's been a work in progress for me because my dad was out of the home. And, as I'm now 45 years old and I still harbor some of those, emotions that come from when your dad wasn't there and he was working on
Yes.
himself. He had, and he's comfortable with me sharing this, but he had problems with drugs and it took him out of our home. Although he was functioning, he still maintained jobs and that connection that you talked about, it remained there. I knew that my daddy loved me, and my daddy, even though he was out of the home and dealing with what he was dealing with in the streets, he still sent a message home to me and my sister and my brother that, you know what, don't do what I'm doing, do better. And not only that, don't accept certain treatment from people, do better. And it's not to say that we haven't had our share. Everybody has a share of a little touch of something that they've come
Exactly.
across. But from that, I learned from those lessons. And I feel like it's made me not only a better woman, but a better wife, a better mother, a better friend. And I say all that to say, I was thinking from the standpoint of your children. I've been that child. And, even though you see your parent go through something and it's taken them away from you,
Yeah.
I do take that and I look at your tenacity to take something, because we all know what it's like when you see it on TV, you hear it in stories like yours. People don't get that opportunity again because they look at you that you're a sum total of whatever the mistake that took you there. And you're like, no, I recognize that I made some poor choices. Now I'm moving on. And I want my children to see that no matter where you're at, you can still move forward and make a difference, not only in your own life, but now you're affecting everyone else's lives around you and giving this guru mindset that you're like, hey, you can be the best of version of whoever you are. And I love
Exactly.
it. It gives me chills because it makes me look at my relationship with my own father from that standpoint, and I see the challenges that he's faced, but I also see where he's come out, and it makes me appreciate it even a little bit more hearing your story. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And like what you were saying, like it makes you a better woman, a better friend. That is the blessing out of the lesson that you just went through. You see that? So
Absolutely.
because now you cherish things a whole lot more because you understand it. And as you get older, now you start seeing like, this is why I do this. But when people understand why they who they are, it makes them just that much easier to fix things. But when some people don't understand why they are the way they are, it makes them that much harder. But you understand why you the way you are. So it makes it that much easier for you to fix because you can get to the root of the problem.
Absolutely. I want to shift a little bit because I mean, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about everything that's going on in the world right now. I mean, we all know that the political climate is, yeah, it's a little spicy out there.
It is. It is.
It's crazy, but more so because I know that you deal with a lot of health and wellness, and obviously mental health is a part of that, and it's something that's not really talked about in our community. But with regards to being in prison all that time, and I know, like, I mean, we can tease when we say brothers, or not, I shouldn't just say brothers, but everyone that comes out of prison, sometimes they have that physique and it's pulled together
Yes.
because you had a
Yes.
lot of opportunity to work on it.
Right.
But up here, how is it that you maintained that, where you just were like, okay, I'm coming out, I have a plan and I'm going to do it? And I know that you probably got a lot of doors closed in your face, but then
Oh,
how do you
for
keep
sure.
pushing to keep wanting to do better for not only yourself, but your family?
You said it. My family.
All right.
My family. Like, but is it hard? Yes. It was super hard. But now, but like as I know that adversity is going to come, and I know obstacles are going to come, I'm prepared for that, and I really embrace them. Like it's okay. Like I know people know, well, we're not gonna go to his gym because he's a convicted felon, or they're not gonna let him come and speak because he's a convicted felon, or he's this, or he's that. And I'm like, okay, it's cool. I'm fine with that because you're not gonna make me change who I am just because you don't like who I am. Like that's really got something to do with you. It don't got nothing to do with me. And
Your
because I feel like I did my time and I transformed myself to become who I was meant to be. So if you don't want to deal with me, then like I really feel like you might be missing out on a blessing because you can learn something from everybody. So
absolutely.
like if you don't want to deal with me, then like you might miss out on something that could actually change your life. So and is it hard in prison? Yes, but you got to surround yourself with the right people. And one of the chapters in my book is called "The Impact of Your Surrounding." And I'm not going to surround myself that people that's doing the same thing that I used to do. We
Right.
don't have no conversation because I'm speaking English and you speaking Spanish, and you're not going to understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go to the world. I'm trying to help the world. You trying to diminish it at one point what I was doing. But I give them advice? Yes. Would I just say like we can't, what's the name? No, but like I will give you advice, but if it's up to you to take the advice. Because I've learned that information is better than money.
Ooh, yes. Powerful. These are tweetable moments right here, if I could. Let me ask you this, because more often than not, people that are much like yourself and myself, we have affirmations, whether you have it on a post-it note or if it's just registered up here. What is your positive affirmation that you find that's your mantra that you share to your, or you repeat to keep you
Well, I
going?
repeat to myself, I
Mhm.
inspire people to ignite the fire that's already burning inside of them. So that keeps me going every day because if I don't do what I was meant to do, because that's technically a definition of a guru. So I inspire people to ignite the fire that's already built in them,
I love
right?
it. You're fanning the
So,
flames, fanning the flames.
so that's my thing. And like, why quit? Like you gotta show up, like you gotta get up, show up and never give up. That's
Mm,
another one. Like you gotta get up. Like I gotta get up. Like when people are later in the bed, like I get up. I get dressed up, and when I walk in this gym, I walk into somebody's place, I gotta speak, I show up.
I
I
love
gotta show up because I ain't just showing up for me, I'm showing up for my family. I'm showing up for the people that depend on me and the people that believed me when I was in that prison cell. So that's why I gotta get up and I get dressed up. That's why I show up every day.
Absolutely. I love that. The other thing I was going to ask you is because we're obviously still in quarantining. I mean, I'm in California, we're on complete lockdown here. But, one of the things that was definitely a challenge for me last year was really just from the health standpoint is fitness. Everybody, this was nothing that we've ever experienced.
Right.
And so, and I have to say, my office, instead of being in the office, I would go in occasionally, but it became my office was in my family room, which is adjacent to the kitchen. And even though I always tease, I have a Peloton that's behind this green screen, I wasn't quite motivated to get on it. And I'm trying to make a difference in that. And it's starting with little changes. I've upped my water intake. The stairs in my house, I was realizing when you have the mask on and you're doing stairs, it's a whole different,
It's a game changer.
situation. Yeah. So I'm
Yes.
doing the stairs, and instead of using the restroom down on the first level, I go to the second level. It's little things that I'm implementing. I feel like are, helping or aiding. But is there some motivation that you can give us that those of us that are still working from home that may not have a gym membership or can't go to a gym, things that we can do at home that can start to kind of ignite that fire, if you will?
Start where you are. Start with what you have because listen, if you we didn't I didn't always have weights. So we had to do things that we had to do. So you can start with the basic foundation. That is a squat, that is a push-up, that is jumping jacks, and that is planks. Those are foundation exercises. Those are things that would never go away if you do them on a regular basis. The weights, most people like to do weights, but weights go away when you stop. But calisthenic work is always going to be there. You can even do bench dips off a chair. Like there's so many things that you can actually do. You can use your steps. You can hop up one step, hop up the next step, always miss a step or hop each step, walk back down as your rest, hop back up the steps, walk back down. So do 3 sets of that. I don't know how many steps you got, but whatever it
Got
is,
quite a few.
whatever it is, you gotta use them.
Okay,
Okay. So, and always listen, push up squats, you can't lose.
gotcha. So
I'm
I
a,
would be remiss if we didn't tell everybody why your phone is going crazy. Go ahead and give a shout out.
well, right now my phone is going crazy because my they don't know if we don't know if my kid's going to transfer or not. So my phone's going crazy. Everybody wants to know the ins and outs about Wanda Robinson, and also my friend is calling me because I'm supposed to go get a new car, but I'm not going to. I might go get it. I ain't make my mind up. I'm tight. I'm tight. Like you know,
Don't say
I'm
you're tight. You're being prudent with your spending. That's what that is.
prudent, tight, whatever. Like I'm tight. Like listen, I just I don't like to give it away. I work too hard for it.
I heard
You
that.
know, but I understand you got to enjoy it. But I rather enjoy it with my daughter.
Aw, she's
So I
beautiful.
rather give that. Like that's my thing, and that's something that I also learned is financial literacy, having generational wealth. Like that is something that I I'm really into. Like I don't, I'm learning. And I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm learning. I'm taking the steps, and I'm not playing about that. Like that's something I'm super into. I'm interested, and I take the steps. And somebody say, "Well, listen, you might need to do this for your daughter." All right, cool. Let's make sure she's good. Because
Absolutely.
like my kid might not want to go to school, so let me set up something that she might want to open up her own business because she's around business owners all the time now. She might want to be an entrepreneur. I'm cool with her being an entrepreneur. I just don't want to feel like she's got to go to school. I
Right.
want to feel like that she can do whatever she want to do because she is powerful, she is smart, she is strong. That's why I want to be able to put her in a position to do whatever she wants to do.
I have to tell you, I have several degrees under my belt, and I feel like even though I have all this book knowledge, if you will, I feel like the knowledge that has stuck with me the most is that experience that I get when I've worked in the field or the experience that I got when I volunteered or, did some community outreach or things. Those are the things that have solidified me and sustained me in the things that I do, because you're not the sum total of one degree. I mean,
No,
I have a degree in life. I always say that. And it's really
exactly.
important to take those things that you learn and you can apply the theory. But at the end of the day, it's when you're there and you're getting your hands dirty and you're making stuff work and creating is where
Yes.
that truly
I
comes from.
love to create.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And the experience, what you said is so important. Like people be like, oh, well, how do you know how to do this? Why do you charge this? Because the experience that I have, like, did I go to college to get a exercise science degree? No. But I'm almost certain ain't too many trainers go give me a run for my money. And I ain't go to college. I got the experience because I experienced every module of training. I done did it myself. And I'm not just telling you what some book said. I'm telling you what I felt and what I did. And I can help you get from A to B, and it's just not do this exercise. No, I'm going to give you motivation. I'm going to tell you why you need to get there and a life aspect, not from a fitness aspect. You need to do this with these dumbbells because you're doing dumbbells that gives you balance, because most people have a right hand dominant and their left hand is weaker. So let's be dominant. Let's have equal. Like in life, you got to be equal around the board. You can't give job too much. You can't give, your family too much. You got to be
Work-life
equal.
balance.
Yes. So you got to be balanced. So that's how I explain it to them. Then we have teachers and coaches and her. And well, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. If you say I can't, then you gonna let your kids say the same thing?
No.
You're teaching our babies. So now I gotta have you on the right frame, man. That you teaching our babies. So if you say I can't, then you gonna let them say I can't. But if you say I can, I will, and give everything I got, then you got a story to tell them. When I was in the gym, I thought I couldn't do something, but I did it. I just had to go for it. I had to stop telling myself that I can't, stop telling myself I can.
There you go.
So,
Well, let me ask you this. Tell us a little bit about the fitness app. And because I mean, obviously right now, because of COVID, we're all kind of, quarantined, we're at home. And I want to know how you're reaching all of these people, whether they're local or global. How are you doing that?
well, we have our fitness app is on Apple and on Android. You can download the app, and we have full body workouts. We have ab finishers. We have just regular finishers, meaning that like at the end of your workout, you want something like just to top you off and make sure that you got everything, you left everything on the floor. We have those. We have certain body parts that if you want to do a particular body part. And the funny part is that as we're speaking about it, I am revamping it and making it even better.
Okay.
So
Improvement.
we are revamping it, and it's going. You're gonna have a lot more opportunities, a lot more things that you can do with our app. You
And what is it
track
called?
your
Just
water.
so
It is
anybody's
called
listening.
G.U.R.U Fitness. It's a lifestyle, not a fad,
All
right?
right.
So G.U.R.U Fitness stands for Generate Unique Results Ultimately. Go get the app. You can go to Amazon.com and get the Making of the Guru, the book. And so before we get out here, the special announcement is that I will be coming out with another book soon.
What?
I can't tell you the name yet, but I
Okay.
will be, what's the name? And I would love to be able to come back on here and drop the book
Absolutely.
on your show.
I want to have dibs on that. So I am looking forward to it. You heard it here first. There is a new book coming out. He can't spell the name yet, but
No.
we're gonna talk about it here first.
Yeah, we got a book and we got courses and no,
I
we
love
got a
it.
lot of stuff. Yes. So listen, thank you for having me. I totally
Absolutely.
enjoy it. I can't wait to be back. I want to be back with Rod, so Rod can tell you the story where I saved him when we was in college.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna. Well, let me do this. I always say this to my guests before they leave. If there's anyone you want to give a shout out to, I know you mentioned your wife, and she is absolutely gorgeous too. So you might want to shout
Yes.
her out. You
Oh,
get some
I'm
extra
glad you
brownie
said that.
points.
Taylor, listen, a lot of people don't know, like my wife Taylor is like super phenomenal. Like if you can put up with me, you got to be phenomenal.
All
Like,
right
cause
now.
I'm always on it. Like I'm always want to do something. I'm always like, I need you to do this. Let's do this. And she's like, look, you need to slow down. But we get it done, and she puts up with me, and I'm super grateful. I love her to death. And she has a book out herself. It's called Mommy's Promise.
Okay.
And it's a children's book that, and I'm not. I give a little bit away, but
Where
you
can we
can
get it from? Where can we
you
get it
can get the book on Amazon.com as well. It's called Mommy's Promise by Taylor Robinson. If you have little kids, if you have a daughter, it's a great book because you get to write the promises that you made to your daughter in the back of the book, and you get to keep them.
I love that. I need to talk to Taylor and see if we can't get her here on the platform
Listen,
as well.
she is, yes, I would connect you.
Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate. I
Definitely.
love
Like,
connecting and collaborating is what we do.
relationships and information changes your situation.
Oh, all tweetable. We're gonna be
Yes.
hashtagging all this.
All right. Definitely. So
Awesome. Well, I
thank
want
you.
to thank you. I want to extend a huge thank you to you. I know you're a very busy man. You're out here setting this guru mindset for all of us. I have learned a lot in this conversation, and I knew I would. But I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the platform. And I always say before I end, it's really important for us to pour into each other and take care of each other, but it's more important for us to take care of ourselves. So, with that being said, have a wonderful experiential rest of your week. And I look forward to connecting. And don't forget, you're supposed to connect me with your wife.
I got you.
Awesome.